Hello, my name is Hugh Gallagher and welcome to C3 Stingray Corvette History Channel. When I think Corvette, the body style that immediately comes to mind is the 1968 to 1982 C3 Corvette. It is easily the coolest of all the Corvette bodies. Now, I've never met a Corvette I didn't like, but because of my enthusiasm for the third generation Corvette, I've decided to put together a video series dedicated to a year-by-year breakdown of the C3 Corvette. So let's start at the beginning, 1968.
Here's Paul Horning. Man, what a ride. This is a superstar of the Chevrolet sports department, the 68 Corvette Stingray.
Planning for the 1968 Corvette began as far back as 1962, and the idea of a mid-engine car was always in the talks, but that would not be realized till over 50 years later. Nonetheless, some radical changes were made to the 1968 Corvette. The chassis would basically remain the same, but the body and the interior would go through some major changes for the new generation. After the sales on the Corvette dropped 17% from 1966 to 1967, GM was anxious to push up their numbers with the new generation Corvette and based their new model off the popular Mako Shark II prototype that they had introduced back in 1965.
This new GM experimental idea car is not for sale, and probably never will be as such. But some of its innovations and touches of styling may appear in the showroom model someday. It's an offspring of the Chevrolet Corvette, known as the Mako Shark II. The car is piloted by Carol Roth, attractive enough to be a model, but actually a Chevrolet staff member. William Mitchell, GM Styling Vice President, briefs Carol on some of the Shark's many unique features. A top that raises at the touch of a button for easy entry and exit. A new 427-inch Chevrolet V8 with a 3-speed Hydra-Matic. A vacuum-operated gas filler cap, controlled by a release on the instrument console. The engine can be serviced for oil and water through 2 round ports, flush with the top of the hood. All controls are at the driver's fingertips. Direct digital instruments are easily read. Drum-type controls for the AM/FM radio, and all switches are either recessed or flush to provide greater safety. The steering wheel tilts, and since the seats are solidly anchored, the foot pedals are adjustable. It's an extraordinarily safe car that anyone can drive, and Mr. Mitchell is keenly interested in everyone's impressions. The best way to find out is a trial run. At night, its 6-unit iodine quartz headlights can flood the road with more illumination than any lighting system now allowed on the highways. Cornering lights linked to the turn signals are recessed in each front fender behind louvers. This is a car that is confident, poised, and every bit as capable as it looks. An unusual safety feature is a pair of retractable stabilizing flaps at the rear. In the up position, they make use of the air flow over the body to put more load on the rear wheels for better traction. Featured in the fastback design are remotely controlled louvers that can be opened for ventilation and visibility to the rear. During bad weather, windshield wipers do their regular job, and then they disappear from view for cleaner lines. And it sure beats digging for blades buried in snow or frozen in the glass. Altogether, Mako Shark II is a real jackpot.
GM attempted to keep their new C3 design a secret, but things went awry when GM car designer Harry Bradley moved from Detroit to California for his new designing job at the toy company Mattel. Mattel had came up with a new line of toy cars to compete with the popular Matchbox cars, and Harry designed the first 15 of the 16 cars they produced. 3 weeks before the unveiling of the 1968 Corvette to eager car enthusiasts, Mattel released their new toy.
They're the fastest metal cars you've ever seen. Mattel's new Hot Wheels. Collect them by themselves or get them in wild new action sets like the drag race action set, the stunt action set, Hot Curves race action set. Get Mattel's new Hot Wheels.
One of the new 16 cars they introduced was the unauthorized customized Corvette, which bore an amazing resemblance to the new 1968 Corvette. Seems Harry Bradley snuck out copies of the blueprints for the 68 Corvette when he left GM and used them as one of the designs. Despite the cat being out of the bag, the toy only sparked more interest in the car by both kids and adults alike. The new design was awesome. Completely new exterior and interior. It looked like no other car on the road, and its design screamed speed. But it received poor reviews, with Car and Driver magazine returning their initial test car saying that the 1968 Corvette was unfit to road test. Car and Driver eventually changed their mind about the Corvette, but it was still very critical of Chevrolet's craftsmanship and their lack of quality control. Options were aplenty for the new Corvette. With a base price of $4,320 for the convertible and $4,663 for the coupe, it was a hefty price to pay for a 1968 car where the average car was way less than $3,000. The base model included a 300 horsepower 327 with a 3-speed manual, but very few opted for this base package. In fact, only 326 3-speed manuals are known to have hit the streets in 1968. Only 5,875 came with the stock 327 300 horsepower engine. The rest selected one of these mini engine upgrades. Now, I do not own a 1968 Corvette, but I do know where one is, so I took my video camera and took some video of many of the things that were only available on the 1968 Corvette. This is a beautiful car. If anyone is interested in purchasing it, they can find out more about it at gatewayclassiccars.com. There's a direct link below to the car I'm videotaping below this video. There were many exterior items that were first introduced in 1968, but were redesigned the following year. Although the 63 through 67 Corvettes were known with the two-word name Stingray, and the 69 through 76 Corvettes were known with the single-word Stingray, the 68 did not have any Stingray emblem, and no one seems to know why. There are no wheel flares on the 68, which made the area open to the abuse of rock and debris kicked up from the tires. The side vents were installed when it was found that the car would lift under heavy acceleration. The backup light was underneath the bumper. It would later be integrated into the taillights. Other exterior items were the push-button door handle, which was only on the 1968 Corvette. The wheel size was made wider to a 15x7 width for better handling. It was the only year that the Corvette used this size wheel. For extra money, the P01 option was a heavy, full wheel cover, but behind the cover was still a rally wheel painted argent silver. The 1968 Corvette was also the first American car to come with disc brakes to all four wheels. The 1968 also had many one-year interior designs. The door panels were much wider at the top of the panel, restricting interior space. That would be changed the following year. The ignition was located on the dash, but would be moved to the steering column the next year due to federal anti-theft rules. The 1968 had a place to rest your seatbelts when not in use, something that only appeared in the 68 Corvette. The space beneath the shifter, which normally states the engine statistics, contains no information and bears just a cross flag symbol. The transmission hump was made larger so they could make use of the Turbo 400 3-speed automatic transmission that had been available since 1965 but could not be used in the Corvette because of its small transmission tunnel. Since the window vents were eliminated on the new design, a venting system called the Astro ventilation was introduced. Air would come through the front vents and travel through the car and out the back vents. The back window was designed to pop out to add extra ventilation. GM introduced a new item in 1968, the T-tops. Now roof panels could be removed above both the driver and passenger. But it turned out that GM was not the inventor of the T-top. It was actually invented and patented by car designer Gordon Burig, and was first used in his 1948 prototype, the Tasco, abbreviation for the American Sports Car Company.
Somewhat less spectacular is this sporty new creation of Gordon Burig of Pennsylvania, designer of the famous Cord. Front fenders of laminated fiberglass turn with the wheels made of light magnesium. Body and removable top are of aluminum and plastic. In the cockpit, or rather the driver's compartment, Mr. Burig operates the controls, closely resembling those of a plane. Thus, aircraft methods are becoming increasingly popular in automotive science.
Burig successfully sued GM for an undisclosed amount. As with most first-year cars of a new design, the 1968 Corvette had its share of bugs, but who can ignore the beauty of this car and this awesome body design? The 1968 Corvette seen here originally sold for $5,200. It is now selling for $46,500. Well, I hope you enjoyed this look at the 1968 Corvette. Please leave any comments below or email me at c3stingray.com. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more Corvette videos, including many how-to videos with C3, C4, and C5 Corvettes. And check out my Corvette movie reviews. And be sure to check out my website at c3stingray.com for new and used Corvette parts. Thanks for watching, and I will return next time to look at the 1969 Corvette.